An ominous aura emanates from Serene's home. Serene can do nothing but watch as life slowly withers away from her beloved mother, Ariel. Even in her final moments, Ariel only wishes to secure her child. A mother's love is really unrivaled. Serene was only 7 after all. With a weak gesture, she reminds Serene of the paper she left behind. Time isn't on Ariel's side today. As she succumbs to her condition, she tells Serene to leave as soon as she dies. Tears form in Serene's eyes as she listens to her mother's final requests. Soon enough, Serene realizes that her mother's heart has stopped. With one last kiss to her mother's forehead, Serene honors her mother's request and leaves their home immediately. As she flees, Serene reminisces all the warm memories she shared with her mother. Little does her mother know that Serene is both her first and second daughter. Ariel was a mother of 2 daughters. A terrible disease took over her first child, and Ariel cried at the realization that her child was no longer alive. When Ariel was given a second daughter, she didn't know that it was her departed first daughter reborn into a new life. Ariel must have been such a kind woman for the universe to bless her with a second chance to love her own daughter. Serene then puts on her coat and takes the paper her mother left her. Before her death, Ariel casts a spell on the paper for Serene to follow. The paper leads Serene to a forest, but the blizzard and her own grief overcome her. A man in a winter robe and hood stumbles upon Serene in the forest and offers to help her. She quickly retorts that she has no means for medical expenses. The man shields her from the cold and carries her to safety. Serene voices out that she is mindful of his kindness since her mother had told her to be wary of strangers. Hearing this, the man reassures Serene that he only wishes not to see another person die again today, much more a child. Again? Perhaps he witnessed someone pass shortly before meeting Serene. Traveling amidst a blizzard must have taken a strong toll on Serene. As she wakes up, she realizes that she could have been baited and kidnapped under the pretense of help. Suddenly, she remembers what her mother warned her about. Ariel used to tell her daughter not to let anyone know about her pink hair. People might want to take and harm her if they find out. Suddenly, the man enters the room and Serene starts bawling. With all her child's strength, Serene tries holding him down. She cries and begs the man not to sell her for her pink hair. Astounded upon hearing this, the man tells Serene to calm down. He then gestures for Serene to ease up and look at him. Serene does as she's told, and her eyes marvel at him. He also has pink hair. I'm calling it as early as now. I bet Serene and this guy are related. The man asks Serene if her mother's name is Ariel. Serene's eyes form into big orbs upon hearing him say her mother's name. Even though she does not answer directly, her eyes provide a sufficient answer. Seeing her reaction to Ariel's name, the man confirms his hunch. He pulls Serene into a big, warm hug and caresses her. When he pulls back, he tells her that his name is Edwin Levashon. Edwin reveals that he is her father. I knew it! The pink hair kind of gave it away. He admits that he had searched for Serene and Ariel for years. She may not believe it now, but he hopes that soon enough they can both get to know each other in better circumstances. A blank but curious look appears on Serene's face. She often thinks of meeting her father, wondering why he was never present. Part of her wants to blame him for his absence, but now she finds herself unable to utter those words. The man before her holds so much pain. He looks like he's barely breathing. He looks like he's been through the same amount of pain that she experienced. Serene verbally expresses that she believes Edwin, and his eyes light upon hearing those precious words from his daughter. He warmly nuzzles Serene as if he was caressing a baby. Later on, Edwin and Serene leave the building they take refuge in. Serene realizes that Edwin has taken her back to the village where she and her mother spent their last moments together. Edwin soon tells her that he had moved Ariel to a more comfortable place she can rest in. As the two make their way through the village, a man strides next to Edwin and addresses him as Your Majesty. OMG, he has royal lineage. Edwin makes haste and confirms that the child, Serene, is the princess. Inside the carriage, all Serene could think of was the man addressing Edwin as Your Majesty. Girl, I feel you. Even I'd be shocked to know my father was actually the royalty. But wait, could her father be the Emperor himself? Serene suddenly recalls her mother telling her that the Emperor had 3 terrifying sons. Could her mother be the commoner concubine favored by the Emperor? But that can't be right. In her memories of being the first daughter, she for sure remembers that her mother was no commoner. But why was it that her mother ran away and lived a commoner life when she became pregnant for the second time? Serene comes to a theory that maybe her dad from her past life and present life are two different people. If her mother truly is a concubine, then that means she'd be an illegitimate child. The Emperor's sons would definitely hate her. A million questions plague little Serene's child mind. All she can think about is that she will do her best to make her presence scarce. Maybe that way they won't kick her out and leave her alone. Soon enough, she surrenders her thoughts and falls to sleep. Upon arriving at the palace, another pink-haired guy makes his way to the carriage. When he opens the door, he finds Edwin cradling a sleeping Serene. Could he be one of the three sons of the Emperor? Even when Serene is in deep sleep, she recognizes that there is an unfamiliar voice speaking. Poor child, she must have been so worried to the point that even in her sleep she was still aware of her surroundings. Currently, the Crown Prince is conversing with his father, the Emperor, while Serene lays asleep in his arms. While both men converse, memories of Serene and Ariel replay in Serene's dreams. She recalls memories of them both over the seasons of the year. It still hasn't been a while since her mother's passing, but she finds herself missing her terribly. She believes that only her mother could love her unconditionally. Even though it was just them against the world, Ariel constantly reminds Serene that there are other people out there who love and care about her. As her dream fades, slowly Serene begins to wake from her slumber. When she finds herself facing a stern-looking mini version of her father, she strongly clutches Edwin's robe and pulls him close. Her brother definitely takes after their father's charm. Edwin introduces Serene to her oldest brother, and immediately her eyes enlarge at this news. Does he hate her already for him to look so cold? Both make eye contact, and when her brother reaches for her, Serene flinches. Her imagination already says he's angry at her. Her worries are quickly dispelled when she finds her older brother caressing her hair in a warm and loving manner. Aw, how cute! He's treating her with so much care. Immediately, he introduces himself as Theo Ursa Levashon, her oldest brother. He radiated such a bright and genuine vibe, it made Serene feel as though she was so loved. Surely his kindness towards her meant that she passed their standards, right? As the three make their way to the palace, a formal entourage greet them. Among them are Serene's two other older brothers who share the same pink hair characteristics. According to Theo, they too have been waiting a long time to meet Serene. With so much enthusiasm, the other two quickly introduce themselves. Lorraine, the second oldest, and Trail, the youngest of the princes. Serene compels herself to try her hardest to introduce herself as well. In a cute attempt, she tells her older brothers that her name is Serene. Hearing her voice for the first time, all three of her brothers melt away at her cuteness. The three gather around Serene and dote on their newly met sister. It seems so surreal for all of them to be blessed with such an adorable younger sister. Later on, Edwin carries Serene inside the palace to properly rest from the long journey. As her father carries her, Serene takes a peek at her older brothers behind them. All three are looking at her with so much adoration. Meanwhile, all three brothers pause to admire their cute little sister. It's safe to say that all three of them simply adore Serene already. The next day, all three brothers gather around Serene and their father as they begin their morning. When everyone takes a seat at the dining table, Serene takes an interest in a fluffy chair right next to her brothers. Seeing that Serene felt so joyous with the fluffy chair, Theo promises Serene that he'd give her a bigger and softer chair. Trail becomes competitive over Theo's offer. He too offers to send Serene a fluffy bed to enjoy. At this point, Theo and Trail stare daggers at each other, competing to please Serene. Not wanting her brothers to fight, Serene interrupts and thanks all of them for their kindness. Theo and Trail halt their squabble to listen to Serene. Theo softens his expression, and Trail can't help but sob at how cute his little sister truly is. Serene may be the Empire's princess, but she is also more of her family's little princess too. Later that day, Edwin calls for a doctor to examine Serene's condition. During the checkup, Serene admits that on regular days, she'd only be able to eat once or twice a day. A deafening silence takes over the room after Serene talks about her conditions prior to coming to the palace. They must have felt so bad for what Serene had to go through. All three brothers and even the Emperor try to lighten the situation by focusing on how Serene doesn't have critical illnesses. With a caring gaze, Edwin reassures Serene that she'll be all right from here on out. Back in her room, the attendants dress and ready Serene for dinner with her family. Being without her brothers now, she takes this time to reflect on how much her life has changed in a short span of time. Upon her mother's passing, Serene feels as though it was the end of the world. But now, even when she's in an unfamiliar place with new people, she feels at ease being surrounded by everyone's warmth. It feels as if she's always known this much love. When Serene enters the dining hall, all three of her brothers greet her enthusiastically. Everyone seems to be so eager for her to eat already. Not to mention, she looks really cute with her look. Seeing Serene enjoy her food gives her family a different kind of fulfillment. I guess they all just want to make up for her past experiences of being deprived of 3 meals a day. As everyone dotes on Serene, Edwin panics when Serene suddenly slows down and silences herself while chewing. Hurriedly, he calls for a doctor to come and help Serene. What if she was choking already? Serene takes a while to speak up, and when she does, she wraps her little hands around her father's own hands. She clears up that she was merely trying to thank them, but the words wouldn't come out. Hearing and seeing that Serene is all right, Edwin loses his composed demeanor and covers his face. He may be the emperor, but worrying about his daughter is still enough to put him in a helpless state. Serene is her family's joy. All 4 male royals feel a pang in their hearts as they hear Serene thank them for the most basic things. Edwin approaches Serene and gets down on his knees to be at eye level with his little daughter. With all sincerity, he thanks and apologizes to Serene for having to endure such conditions for a long time. He apologizes for not being able to protect her and her mom. No, it's not like you meant for all that to happen. Tears stream down Serene's face as she realizes that she wasn't the only one grieving for her mother. She understood her father's feeling of helplessness, for she too felt it upon her mother's passing. Edwin hugs Serene as she continues to cry in his arms. All 3 brothers phase at the sight of their sister crying. Later that night, Theo joins his father in Serene's room to discuss her past. His little sister is someone of the purest heart, but for her to grow up in pain and deprivation is downright one of the cruelest things Theo could imagine. As the two discuss, Theo could only think of wanting to protect Serene. Theo plants a kiss on Serene's temple as he promises to never leave her alone anymore. As Theo exits the room, he tells his father that he would get rid of everything that may harm Serene. Theo looks so attractive when he's mad and determined. While Serene sleeps, a dream of her mother plagues her once again. The dream is memories of her past life as her mother's first daughter. Even as she wakes the next morning, Serene could feel the unease of the dream as if it were reality. A commotion transpires early that morning as Loran accidentally injures Serene when he carelessly opens the door and sends Serene flying a few feet back. Naturally, Edwin and the rest of the princes display outraged reactions at the mishaps. I think outrage is really an understatement. They all look like they want to turn back time to protect Serene from the door. The earlier events make Serene realize that even little mishaps that concern her are taken very seriously in the palace. She always thought that an illegitimate child like her would never be loved. So is it all right for her to be receiving all this love from her father and brothers? Nevertheless, Serene is grateful for all their care. She wishes she could reciprocate all their love and concern as well. Well, it's not like it's proven that she's an illegitimate child. There's still more to Serene's backstory than we know. But who would have thought that the imperial men instantly like pink upon hearing that it's Serene's favorite color? The imperial palace is known for the beautiful flowers that grow behind the structure. Loran offers to take Serene out to sightsee the beautiful flowers behind the palace. When arriving in the garden, Serene marvels at the blossoms all around. With a curious look, Serene asks Loran how it could be so warm if it isn't even spring yet. Serene seems to be getting more comfortable with her brothers now that she's talking more than usual. Loran's eyes light up at Serene's question. He eagerly shares that the whole garden is maintained by magic to keep it in good health. As the two converse, Loran remarks that Serene resembles her mother so much. At the mention of her mother, Serene's mood dampens a bit. Oh no, I guess she's still affected by her mom's death. It's only natural to grieve anyway. Loran is quick to catch on to her sudden mood shift and asks Serene what's wrong. The matter of her being an illegitimate child has been in Serene's mind for quite a while now. She always feels guilty for receiving so much love from everyone despite her status. How is it that Loran can be so kind to her even though she's illegitimate? Serene tells Loran of all the worries that came to her mind recently. Her worries have been keeping her from interacting with everyone wholly. Seeing Serene confess such deep worries saddens Loran as well. In a hushed but gentle tone, Loran reassures Serene that this is all a misunderstanding. In fact, Serene is of imperial bloodline, born from the emperor and empress of the land. Loran emphasizes to Serene that she is just as royal and imperial as Theo and Trail. Serene's eyes widen as she hears Loran's revelation. But soon shock overcomes her when Loran clears up that it was actually him who was the illegitimate child. Even though Serene wanted to know more, Loran could not tell her the entirety of it. In time, it would be their father himself who would reveal all things. Serene and Loran's interaction is interrupted when Trail barges into the garden. Trail does his best to impress Serene, but she is ultimately won over by Loren's magic. In the end, Serene also acknowledges Trail and calls him bro. During dinner, Trail brags to Theo and Edwin about his achievement of Serene calling him bro. This makes Theo and Edwin jealous of Trail. If only Serene would call them something affectionate too. Trail is enjoying his bragging rights for real. In the end, everyone shared a good laugh over the experience. At one point, this interaction reminds them of a memory from the past. Long ago, in the very same garden, Theo beckons his father to come quickly. Repeatedly, he yells for his father to hurry. As soon as Edwin arrives, Theo excitedly shares that Loren had just called him brother. The moon shines brightly in the night sky as evening looms over the day. Serene retreats back to her room for the night, where she is showered with compliments from her attending maids. It's not uncommon for maids to gossip. If I lived in a palace with attractive royals, I'm sure to gossip all day about their beauty. In fact, Serene hears a few rumors here and there by courtesy of maids who aren't mindful of their volume. Tonight, palace gossip concerns Serene's brothers. The staff are noticing that the brothers have fully pledged themselves to taking on their role as Serene's protector. It seems endearing to all of them how the princes focus on their new little sister now. Early the next morning, Edwin expresses his concern of Serene sleeping in a room alone. Thus, new sleeping arrangements are made to have Serene sleep in the Emperor's quarters. Seeing her father's puppy eyes, Serene couldn't help but agree to the whole situation. The last thing she wants is for her father to worry about her every night. Even though Serene is within a secure room, dreams of her past still plague her slumber. This time, her dream shows a different memory of her past. Her mother yells at her father about a curse being transmitted. When she wakes from her dream, her expression saddens as she realizes how much her parents were suffering because of her. Why can't her dream just show her more? She wants to uncover the entire truth already. The morning she woke from her dream, Theo noticed Serene's unusual silence. Concerned about his sister, he asks if the new sleeping arrangements had disrupted her sleep. What do you expect from Theo? He's the most protective of Serene. Serene reassures her brother that she's all right. But over the course of breakfast, she couldn't help but notice the strange glares her brothers are directing at their father. Could it be that they were jealous that Serene is spending more time with her father? That night, Serene experiences a nightmare that leaves her feeling crippled. Even though it was a dream, she could feel the pain she experienced in her past life as the disease spread across her body. Everything seems to hurt in her dream, and what's worse is that it was as if she could feel it in real life. Tears roll down her eyes as Serene wakes from her nightmare. In her dream, her body rots similar to her mother's. She was feeling extremely uncomfortable right now. As if on cue, her father Edwin wakes from his slumber as well. Having her father awake was enough comfort for Serene. The feelings from her dream are just too much to bear alone. To ease her mind, Serene decides to strike a conversation with her father, asking him what her mother was like from his point of view. Serene listens carefully as Edwin tries to describe Ariel, her mother, before she died. Ariel was beautiful, strong, and always radiant. In addition, she was also a very powerful wizard. There was no wizard in the Empire better than her. The facts about her mother seem to be interesting. Thus, Serene wishes to know more about her mother, as she finds her awesome. She says that she doesn't really remember the memories they had in her previous life. Edwin gets surprised by Serene's words. He then asks her what she remembers from her previous life. Momentarily, she cries because she thinks that her father might be angry with her. Shortly, he apologizes and comforts his daughter. Serene then tells him about the secret that she has been hiding for so long. It is all about the confusing memories of her previous life. She remembers her parents being in pain because of her illness, particularly the story of how Serene met her mother again in the form of a baby when she opened her eyes. After a while, she apologizes for hiding it from her father. There is a possibility that what she thinks she remembers then is not a previous life. Edwin explains that Serene was actually not reborn as the second daughter. The truth is that her mother used magic, so her body's time went back to before getting cursed. Serene is the first daughter of Edwin and Ariel. She must have been scared of hiding those memories all the time. He then apologizes for not knowing sooner and for hiding the truth as well. Back then, Ariel said that there was nothing to hide from the family, so momentarily, he decides to tell Serene's brothers about what they talked about as well. Edwin orders someone to call the princes immediately. Swiftly, Serene's 3 older brothers arrive with their faces full of worry. After listening to the story, Theo now understands why her memory was mixed up. As she grew younger, her 5-year-old self must have erased some of her memories. They conclude that Serene's memory capacity depends on her age. Her brother then assures her that it is completely normal. Now that they already know the situation, they decide to continue talking to her. Later on, Edwin tells her the story about Loran. After a few moments, Loran feels at ease knowing that he has his family with him. He is now ready to hear the story. The story goes back to the time when Edwin and Ariel first met. Even though she was a commoner, she was a wizard with strong magic powers. He couldn't resist falling in love with her, so he courted her endlessly for 2 years. Edwin kept getting rejected, but he didn't give up just yet. Eventually, Ariel gave in, and they were together in the end. It was then announced that she was the next empress. The people of the empire celebrated their wedding and proposed a toast. In time, Theo, their first child, was born into happiness. A year later, Loran's existence was discovered. Edwin is a busy man, but for Ariel, he always has time. Back then, Ariel opened up to him about the rumor of the Marquise of Perdon, who had brought an illegitimate child home as a matter of succession. The Marquise of Perdon is Edwin's only brother who didn't inherit the pink hair of the imperial family. His qualities fell behind in every way, so he didn't have the right to ascend the throne. Also, he was a dangerous man with endless ambitions. After marriage, he was struggling with issues around succession because he couldn't have children for 5 years. For Edwin, he doesn't care if his brother chooses an illegitimate child as his successor. However, thinking about the wounds the child would suffer due to the backlash from the nobles is pitiful. The unexpected news is that the child's hair is pink. The news about a non-imperial child with pink hair made it worthwhile for those plotting a rebellion. Edwin then decides to meet his brother and talk with him. He finds it interesting that someone who despised illegitimate children ended up adopting one. In Marquise's defense, he is already at the age of retirement, so having a successor makes it easier. Basically, he's just using the child to preserve his position. Due to his lack of trust in his brother, Edwin orders someone to investigate correspondence between the Marquise and the child's birth mother, including his current state and in every movement of those related to him. After a month of investigation, they found out that Loran's birth mother was the maid of the Marquise. She gave birth to his child by mistake after a one-night stand. Then, it was presumed that she died of excessive bleeding after giving birth. Edwin's hunch is that the Marquise might lead a revolt. However, he doesn't have enough cards in his hand right now, so he needs to observe more. That night, Edwin asks Ariel for her opinion about adopting Loran as their child, which means that he will accept him as a member of the imperial family. Without a doubt, Ariel agrees, since she wants to protect the little child as well. After 5 years in preparation for Theo's 7th birthday party, news broke about Loran. The news was that Loran, who was 6 years old at the time, was abused. It was right time for Edwin to handle the matter on his own, especially because Ariel was pregnant with their second child, and he doesn't want her to worry. At the party, everyone is congratulating Theo on his birthday. Later on, Ariel introduces Loran to her son. He is only a year younger than Theo, but he is so small. Meanwhile, Edwin discussed the matter with the Marquise. He made the decision that he would enlist Loran as a member of the imperial family. After making the decision, Edwin doesn't want to hear any more of his brother's opinion. He had already made up his mind to enlist Loran as part of the imperial family, with or without his brother's consent. Looking at Loran's current state after being abused by his own father, he lost the right to be his parent. The reason the child looks so skinny and pitiful is because the Marquise can't raise him right. His excuse is that Loran is a picky eater. That's why he doesn't eat much. Marquise is the worst! However, Edwin is confident that he can take good care of Loran like his own child. Meanwhile, the little boys are chatting. Theo introduced himself to Loran, who is very shy and doesn't speak that much. Edwin and Marquise watch the boys get along well together. At the Empire, he couldn't sleep properly because he kept thinking about Loran. Moreover, Ariel is scolding him because she wants the child to be taken care of under the protection of the imperial family. In the end, Marquise didn't have any other choice but to let Edwin go on with his decision. Later on, he announced at the party about a new family member. Loran Perdon, Edwin's nephew, whom the Marquise loves, will be enlisted in the imperial family. Also, he gave him a new name, which is Loran Arpash Levashon. Marquise couldn't believe what's happening, but he can't argue either. Edwin swore to try his best to give Loran as much love as Marquise does and make him grow up properly. The brothers are pretending to be nice to each other in front of the crowd, but deep inside, Marquise is already plotting for revenge. Afterward, Ariel checks on the kids. She notices that Loran looked fragile, and it was obvious what he had been through without watching. She then welcomes him into the family. Presently, Edwin expresses how he feels bad every time he thinks about the past, when Loran was very ill. Fortunately, he is now getting better little by little after living with them. Moreover, they wish they had a daughter back then, until Serene was born. In truth, Loran was happiest about her birth. He took really good care of her when she was still very little. Back then, Ariel asked Loran if he was having a hard time taking care of Serene, but he enjoyed every moment of them together. The family was really close and very happy. Those were the most precious and lovely days. However, the Marquise often went in and out of the imperial castle under the pretext of Loran, and for some reason, Edwin always sent him back. When Serene was 5 years old, an incident that occurred with the rebellion of the Marquise destroyed the imperial family's happy days. Serene cried to her mother as she looked for Loran because she missed him. Ariel explained that her brother was practicing magic, so he shouldn't be disturbed. Later that day, there was suddenly an assassination attempt. Ariel got angry as she tried to protect Serene. She couldn't feel the magic from the enemy, so she wondered what trick he used. Moments later, Loran arrived with a smile on his face. Ariel knew it was dangerous, so she told him not to come all the way. Momentarily, she got attacked. Continuing the story of what happened back then, Ariel was able to survive the attack. However, Serene was caught by the enemy. The enemy threatens her, saying that if she does anything, her child will die. The imperial family was commissioned to get killed, except for Loran. Admittedly, the enemy was asked to kill the princess as an example. Later on, Ariel finds out about the dark magician. She already knows that shadows and curses are the unique abilities of a dark magician. With that, she witnesses the enemy putting a curse inside Serene's body. When the curse was already built inside Serene's body, she immediately carries her into her arms after the enemy lets her go. In addition, she orders Loran to inform Edwin and his brothers about what happened. Meanwhile, at the Marquise's place, he celebrates after dealing with the imperial family. His new era has begun, or so he thought. Not long after, Ariel arrives at the Marquise's place, which surprises them. They underestimated the Empress and her power. Actually, she was able to see the magic engraved on the enemy's body. That's why she was able to track him down. Everyone probably doesn't know how powerful the Empress is. Due to what the Marquise did to Ariel's daughter, she takes revenge and burns the whole place down. She tried everything so the curse would break. However, even the enemy who did it doesn't know how to break the curse. On to the next target, which is the Marquise. She points out how he only uses people as a tool, and the death of the Purdon family is his responsibility. Ariel tells him that neither his son nor his wife can escape. Not long after Ariel attacks the Marquise, Edwin arrives. Both of them cry as they watch Serene's situation. Since then, Edwin has searched the whole empire to find a way to break the curse. However, they were rare magicians, and only a few people knew about their existence. Moreover, rumors that the princess was carrying the curse spread throughout the world. Edwin wants those who are talking nonsense about the princess to get punished. Shortly after, Edwin received news from the nobles. They applied for a trial with the content of expulsion of the princess from the empire. However, upon hearing that, the emperor gets really angry. As a father and an emperor, he feels so hopeless. He then proceeds to Serene's room to check on her, but he finds Ariel awake and worrying. Edwin keeps reassuring his wife. He makes sure to find a way to break the curse. He promises to keep Ariel and their children safe. However, public sentiment continues to grow ferociously. The backlash from the nobles turned to the imperial family. With that, Edwin found a letter from the Empress. Ariel disappeared along with Serene. What Ariel goes through as a mother must have been unimaginable. After the day Ariel disappeared, Edwin searched all over the world for her. He searched anywhere where people said they saw someone similar to her. But as time passed, his fear turned to yearning. He started to believe that she was living somewhere happily and kept searching. Then 7 years passed just like that. The day he found her, he was heading home with no results yet again. But then he heard her voice. He traveled like crazy in the direction where he felt Ariel's mana, hoping it wasn't a hallucination. When he arrived at a small house, he saw Serene. He then cries as he blames himself for what happened. Serene reassured him that it was not his fault. Later on, he found Ariel's journal in the empty house. As time went on, the curse was taking over Serene's body, so she ended up choosing the last option. She decided to move the curse to her own body instead. At the present time, Edwin explains to his children that curses only work on the living. That's why she used her own life. Meanwhile, Trail cries while listening to his father's story about the past. In addition, with her remaining mana, Ariel reversed Serene's time and returned her to her body before it was cursed. They expected that she would find out sooner or later. A mother's love is really unconditional. Momentarily, Serene's brothers apologize to her for tricking her. Even if they're all sad or hurt, at least they will go through it together because they are family. From time to time, Edwin still couldn't help but wonder why Ariel did what she had to do. Just the thought of her taking care of her child alone and being scared makes his heart hurt. He thinks that maybe if he had given up when she rejected him, then she would have lived a happier life. However, he makes sure not to lose Serene again. he will protect what Ariel left behind. Not only is he as strong as steel, but also as gentle as a feather. Ariel indeed chose a good father to her children. The next day, Serene plays around the castle. She feels carefree and safe knowing that there are 4 men protecting her. Even though all of them are pretty busy, they make sure to take good care of her as they are living her second life with her. During dinner, Serene feels sad because her brothers are late, and she wants all of them to have dinner together. It was supposed to be a happy occasion until one of them disappeared. Serene's brothers arrive late for dinner. In Trail's defense, they were getting ready for a night expedition. The knights have to take care of some thieves at the border of the territory, and they will be gone for a month. He throws tantrums for having to leave for 1 month because that means he couldn't see Serene for that long. While the rest are preoccupied, Loran feeds Serene as he apologizes for being late. Momentarily, they notice that Serene is looking for something while frowning. She then asks for cake, so the boys immediately order to serve all the cake in the kitchen. Later that night, she ends up having a stomach ache. She is already in bed as she calls out to her father because she's hurting. Edwin gets worried, so he calls the imperial doctor right away. It turns out that Serene is having a cold and an upset stomach. People her age get them every once in a while, so it's completely normal. However, Edwin is still paranoid, so he keeps asking questions. The doctor just gives him some medicine for her to take in order to get better in no time. The whole night, Edwin nursed Serene. The next morning, her brothers are trying to feed her since she can't take medications on an empty stomach. However, it seems like she doesn't have an appetite, but her brothers make sure she eats a lot. After 3 days, she finally recovered, thanks to the care of her father and brothers. Although her family was kind of sad that they couldn't pamper her anymore, they liked that she was now healthier. While spending some quality time together, Loran compliments Serene for getting prettier each day. The rest of the boys agree with him. It's so cute how they worship her just like their mother. So much for that, it's not good to bawl our eyes out while they're looking happy just seeing their little sister getting better every day. Later that day, Edwin orders Trail to follow Serene today since he will be leaving soon for his expedition. Trail then gets upset at him for making fun of a kid, especially because he can't see his little sister's face for a whole month. The days flew by when she was sick, and now it's almost time for Trail to leave, so Serene feels sad about it. After tomorrow, she won't see him for a month. He then assures her that he will come back strong and quick. Now, Serene's worried even more because he's crying while responding to her. The next morning, Trail prepares to leave for the expedition. Before leaving, Serene invites him on a walk together as soon as he gets back. Trail feels motivated to come back as fast as he can to see his little sister immediately. However, he feels quite scared because he thinks that the expedition will be hard for some reason. You can do it, Trail! That night, Serene asks questions about Trail to her father before sleeping. As a knight, Trail is still young, but he will surely become a general who is stronger than any knight. He's actually the strongest after Theo. He is just 15, but he seems to grow a lot. That is probably what Trail wanted. Back when he was still young, he was always pushing himself to his limits and kept training every day. Trail wanted to grow quickly like Theo and Loran and get stronger so he could protect their mother and Serene. That memory felt just like yesterday for Edwin. Furthermore, Serene asks more questions about her brothers as well. Currently, Theo is 19, and he's been in charge of government affairs ever since he became the crown prince at 13. Meanwhile, Loran is 18, and he studies magic alongside the other imperial magicians. He is the only one in the family who has the gift of magic. He also helps with Theo and Edwin's work. And finally, their cute youngest daughter, Serene, who prefers fruits over sweets, also likes going on walks, but they need a more active sport. She notices the story is taking a turn now. Momentarily, she feels tired, so that ends the story, and Edwin hugs her to sleep. The next day, the whole family escorted Trail to his departure. His brothers tease him, but in a caring way. Edwin also tells Trail not to come back with embarrassing injuries. Meanwhile, Serene reminds him not to get hurt and to make sure to eat well. She can't help but cry as she hugs him. Trail assures her not to worry because he will come back. With that, they all watched him leave. Back at the castle, Edwin and his sons try to comfort Serene. She is really sad because of Trail's departure. Everyone is kind of jealous because of her reaction to Trail leaving. Well, which is her favorite brother seems pretty obvious. Consequently, one of the servants suggests Serene write a letter if she is so worried about Trail. He will surely like that, and he may even come back faster after reading that letter. As soon as she hears that, she immediately starts to write something for him. Later on, Edwin finds out that Serene is writing a letter for Trail. He is envious that his son gets to receive a letter from his little daughter before her very own father. Shortly after, her other brothers also found out about it, so they got jealous as well. Actually, Serene can't write very well because the letters are all wiggly. Therefore, Edwin suggests writing a letter for him first as practice. Both Theo and Loran notice what he's trying to do. I mean, it isn't a crime to somehow manipulate your daughter into dedicating her very first letter to her father, right? But Serene is too embarrassed because of her bad handwriting. But Edwin assures her that the most important part of writing a letter is that she's putting in the effort. She then makes the decision to write a letter to her father. Later on, she makes one for each of her brothers. Aww, she's the sweetest! Serene spends her full day pondering what to write in the letters. Serene goes to her daddy's office, carrying her practice letter for him. The royal guards immediately request for an audience with His Majesty. Look how smitten those guards are with the beautiful Serene. Then, with not yet being called, her father asks if Serene is outside, like some ghost. Serene hands her letter shyly, and the ever-kind Serene worries if her father is busy with her letters. As her father reads the letter, Serene's shame index increases alarmingly. Adorably, rather. Look at those cute, shivering reddish faces. Serene dashes for a walk, attempting to avoid the situation, but her father reads the letter containing the most powerful phrase from his own daughter. The letter only writes the most heartwarming words a father could ever receive. Serene wrote that she loves him, killing Edwin with happiness. Edwin calls his daughter to stop running, telling her how much he loves her too. Also, he doesn't want her to tell her brothers about it. Surely, it would have been a headache if they knew. Serene thought that afternoon was as warm as her daddy's arms. Then, the days at the Imperial Palace pass slowly, yet quickly. It's been a week since Trail left. The maids worry that Serene's face is in deep gloom, waiting for the letter from Trail. That day, the Grand Duke of Spado visits the palace with his children. Serene wants to greet them, who are the same age as her, but it is etiquette for those of lower status to make a greeting first. While thinking of what to do, Serene is too nervous to receive greetings when suddenly the young prince appears in front of her. Such a handsome kid! He gives his greetings to Her Highness Serene, whom he describes as the little star of the Empire. So sweet of him. He then introduces himself as Jay Spado, along with his sister, Lisa Spado. Serene tries to make a greeting too, even though she's too nervous. Jay is about to say something when suddenly Lisa runs towards Serene with sharp eyes, hungry for something. Serene's now getting more anxious with all of Lisa's absurd questions. Lisa is obsessing over Serene's beauty, even comparing her to a fairy or an angel. Well, Lisa, you're cute too, but indeed, Serene is like Aphrodite in disguise. Lisa is not content with everything she's saying. She further goes into details like how Serene's eyes shine like a leaf of grass in the dew, and even her hair is just too wrong for the word human. Again, questioning her identity and whether she's a spring fairy, because if not, how could such a beauty exist? Fangirling mode, are we, Lisa? Jay is now getting embarrassed on behalf of his sister, so he covers her mouth to stop this frantic display of obsession and apologizes for Lisa's lack of etiquette towards her superiors. Serene covers her face because she's too embarrassed by all the praises Lisa mouthed like nothing and sprints away from the two as her voice echoes through the hallways, saying that she's glad to meet them too. Typical Serene. Their father arrives shortly, and they talk about how they met the princess and how odd it is that the princess looked younger than her age. On the other hand, Lisa is only interested in being close to the princess, which is why she wants to attend Lady Shella's tea party, since Serene will be there too. Contrary to rumors, Serene went beyond Jay's expectations and caught his interest. For someone who's a member of the imperial family, Serene is very transparent with her emotions. He can't help but to think how interesting of a girl she is. Lady Shella's tea party finally came, but Lisa's excitement drowns in disappointment when she finds out that Serene isn't around. I guess there won't be a Selisa moment for this episode. What angers her more is that everyone just came to stick their nose on the princess, who disappeared for years after being cursed and suddenly appeared in a healthy state. Some say that the curse is gone because of God's love, but some say that the curse is gone because the Empress took her own life after getting caught making a self-made play. Lisa can't take it anymore, so she snaps out and tells them not to talk behind someone else's back. Little Lady Shella acts regretful of her words, while the others try to comfort her, telling her that Serene is the one who refused her invitation. Lady Shella continues to act fine, and that the princess might have been uncomfortable with this place, blaming it on her upbringing in the slums. Hence, she lacks etiquette. This kid and her unsolicited opinions. Such a pretentious face should just shut up forever. Meanwhile, Lisa's trying to calm herself. She's gripping her last thread of patience to these spoiled brats. But hearing how Lady Shella points out that maybe the princess can't come is because of the curse that still remains in her body, Lady Lisa can no longer tolerate her, so she knocks down her teacup and tells these princesses that they can kill someone with their words, especially of the things they don't even know about. Most importantly, it's a crime to insult the imperial family, according to the imperial law. Show them, girl, show them! The epic phases are so evident when Lisa points out the way they talk. Well, it is the same as how they look. Lady Lisa then uninvites herself to the next tea party and walks out of the room. Slay, girl. Meanwhile, Serene is in the library when her maid tells her that His Majesty is calling her. She's confused as to whether she pertains to her daddy or Trail. She's kind of hoping for the latter because of the letters she's been waiting for some time now. Serene dashes with all her might to see who's calling her, but an unfamiliar man appears in front of her with her daddy. Oh man, look at those broad shoulders. But surely this man is already married, so back to the story. Tired from all the running only to come across with a stranger on the way, Serene runs to her daddy and hugs him. Oh, so cute. I want to hug your daddy too, Serene. Anyways, the man then introduces himself as Ain Spado, the Grand Duke of Spado and the father of the young prince and princess Serene met. The Grand Duke came to apologize on behalf of his daughter, Lady Lisa, for the disrespect she showed to Serene. Rather disrespected, Serene tells the Duke that she's grateful to Lady Lisa for complimenting her. The Grand Duke can't help but compare the kindness of Serene to his daughter, who just a while ago called him a fish head. Edwin tells Ain how lucky he is to have a daughter who doesn't need friends because she already has her daddy, low-key boasting to Ain's face that he didn't have a daughter like Serene. Ain tells Serene how Jay, his son, wants to meet her in person in order to apologize because he didn't feel at ease after sending her away. I'm smelling some potential. The Emperor and Duke exchange banters with each other like kids as Edwin senses the meaning behind Ain mentioning his son. They should get embarrassed with Serene's innocence. Spare the child, sirs. The Emperor then changes his mood and tells Serene that she was called because of the letter from Trail. Serene can't be happier with it. As Serene steps out of the room after bidding her goodbyes, Edwin and Ain then talk about the recent commotion at the tea party where the princess was invited. Days later, snow piled up outside. As Serene reminisces about the time she reunited with her daddy on a winter day, Edwin, together with his sons, deliver sad news. Trail has disappeared. 3 years ago, the same news arrived in the palace. Trail had disappeared and came through the Knights Templar. The Emperor ordered them to broaden their search scope to look for any traces of the prince. The search operation continued for 3 days but did not yield any results. One night, Theo heard a noise from the kitchen, but as he walked in there, he saw Trail munching on food. It appeared that Trail did not know how worried they were for the past 3 days because he just acted as if nothing happened. After that, Trail would suddenly show up several times days after he disappeared. Edwin, Theo, and Loren comfort their little princess that Trail will definitely come back safely. When Serene falls asleep after crying for a while, the Emperor and his sons talk about the status of the current search operation. Trail disappeared near the forest, seemingly erasing his traces as he went. Worried and annoyed, everyone is wondering if he was deliberately avoiding people. The heavy snow is making it even harder for them to search for him. Ren then asks his father that if Trail comes back, he should hit him hard. Theo, now getting irritated, promises to beat his brother by himself for making Serene worry. How dare he make our precious Serene cry? The next day, Serene tries to think positively, but her brothers are thinking otherwise. 3 days before Trail was missing, the expedition ended early as Trail wanted. Out of nowhere, Trail told his vice captain that he couldn't go back early. Trail meaningfully said that there was something else in the place except for him. He then ordered the vice captain to lead the army to the village and wait there. Suddenly, a dark force hits them. Just then, a kid appeared. Trail remembered the tragic event that greatly affected his family years ago. The kid in front of him was one of the dark wizards who he thought were already wiped out. He instructed the vice captain that if he wouldn't be able to come back at midnight, they should depart to the imperial palace first. The kid seemed to have a lot of experience in battles, but Trail was no ordinary knight. In fact, he was the 3rd strongest knight in the imperial family. He then asked the dark wizard of the countless people he must have killed. The dark wizard was caught off guard, angrily defending himself. He unleashed his dark power, which was supposed to eat anyone who'd come in contact with it. However, Trail quickly got rid of it because he still needed to go back home where Serene was waiting for him. Poor Trail, he doesn't know what awaits him in the palace. He'd surely sleep for days. That morning, Serene dreams that she is in a magical garden. Suddenly, Trail's silhouette appears far from her, uttering words she can barely hear, reassuring her that they will reunite soon. The dream fades, and as soon as she wakes up with tears escaping from her precious eyes, she races to the balcony, hoping to find her brother, but there's no sign of him. With all her misery and longing, she accidentally tumbles down the balcony as she pitches forward. Luckily, someone catches her. The scent of the wind Serene yearned for finally trails home with a big smile on his face. Amid Serene's mixed emotions, betrayal, worry, and anger, Trail tries consoling her while apologizing. To avoid catching a cold, Trail attempts to bring Serene inside and see if their father and brothers are mad at him. Speaking of the devil, Edwin appears, welcoming Trail and telling him that he missed his son, all while cracking his knuckles. Feels like somebody's about to be buried alive. Edwin calls Serene over, but Trail refuses to let her go. Theo, looking tired and angry, arrives, and his presence sends chills down Trail's spine. Despite Trail's shaking nerves, he tries reasoning out by showing the dark mage that he tied up for interrogation. But this time, Edwin won't accept Trail's explanations, seemingly tired of his excuses. Suddenly, a forceful blow lands on Trail's head. That must have hurt. Theo asks Serene if he should teach Trail a lesson, and she grumpily agrees. Before Trail can even complain, Theo urges him to clench his teeth and endure it. They were dead serious discussing how many punches they'd land on Trail. After this heavy reunion, a typical scene unfolds in the palace. Theo and Rand fawn over Serene, even untangling her hair. So adorable. Suddenly, Theo is being summoned for an urgent matter. After a while in the dungeon, the dark mage slowly regains his consciousness, knowing that punishment awaits based on his answers or death if he stays silent. Trail finds himself confined to his room due to his actions. His father, attempting to console him, affectionately tousles his hair, assuring him that as long as he is unhurt, everything will be okay. Thinking that everything will be fine now, he asks about his probation, trying to be as pitiful as possible. But his father says that he should sleep for now. Edwin really is something. I mean, he was being so sweet with Trail, and now what? Poor Trail. In the dungeon, the interrogation begins with the shadow mage, Ian, who reveals his name amidst shivers from the cold. According to his story, he fled from the evil tower wanting to ask for help. That's the reason why he approached the night team. Edwin inquires about the tower's location, but Ian fearfully wishes to remain in the safety of the dungeon. Regardless of whether Ian is telling the truth or not, they need to see his memories. They believe that the power of this kid can help them figure out how to break the curse, so they summon Rand for help. Rationality eludes Rand in his hatred towards shadow mages that even a child like Ian is no exception. In fact, he strongly desires their destruction. But still, the fact that they're doing it for Serene's sake, Rand begins to sneak into his memory and finds out that the child was telling the truth. Ian has been tortured since he was 5. After improving his shadow mage's power, he was forced to follow the evil tower's orders to kill some villagers. But because of the magic seal engraved on his neck, he had no choice but to execute the order, or the seal would explode. Despite the cold, he continuously concealed his traces after escaping from the evil tower, hoping to find someone who could help him. And when he found Trail conquering the bandits, he ended up following them. Although Rand destroys the seal, he refuses to heal the kid. But at least, those dark wizards from the evil tower will assume that Ian is already dead. Rand then visits Serene, who's sleeping so soundly, admiring her beauty over and over again. Well, I can't blame him. The kid is too much of a candy in the eyes. Suddenly, he remembers the shadow mage as he kept looking at his sister. It angers him to think of those evil tower bastards engraving such things on children. Despite being engraved, that kid still didn't get caught and even managed to come all the way to the palace. The nature of different powers is the reason why he could get rid of the tracing magic and escape. Rand thinks an investigation will answer his questions, but for now, he'll savor the moment watching over his pretty sister. However, Theo steps in the room and scolds him for disturbing Serene's precious sleep. Suddenly, Theo realizes something. He wonders what would happen if a normal person looks at Serene. And by normal, you mean not blood-related? Well, he who looks at Serene would definitely fall in love at first sight, so there will be a problem if that shadow mage kid sticks to Serene. Trail then divulges that their father plans to train the shadow mage to become Serene's guardian. Deep in thought, Edwin gazes at the kid resting in the surveillance room. Dark wizards cause Serene immeasurable pain. Such presence of the child triggers his thoughts about how the Empress could still be alive if not for them. Edwin clenches his fist out of anger as he remembers how the tragic past alters their family's destiny. And so, the resolve forms in his mind. He must eliminate this threat before it steals another cherished soul. Yet the kid cries in his dreams, apologizing for being the lone survivor to his parents. This halts Edwin, forcing him to confront his own humanity. Staring at the radiant moon, Edwin feels the void left by Ariel, engulfed in a desolate loneliness. Meanwhile, in Serene's room, the two brothers continue debating about their father's decisions. Serene wakes to their commotion, prompting Theo to halt the discussion. Quite late for preserving her beauty sleep, Theo. Morning arrives. Ran, with a serious face, faces Ian, seemingly evaluating his existence. Now at the Imperial Palace, Ian's daily routine involves sword training in the morning under the third prince's guidance, academic studies, etiquette lessons in the remaining time, and nightly curse-breaking practice with Ran. All for the person he will be protecting. Ran warns Ian of the stringent expectations tied to Serene's protection, emphasizing a life of agony for missteps. Ian appreciates the safety of the palace where he doesn't need to starve or harm anyone. Also, protecting someone here is enough for him. And so Trail commences Ian's swordsmanship training. He marvels at his exceptional skills and unique potential, foreseeing Ian's future impact. If this kid gets stronger without proper guidance, he will surely be a threat to them. Curious, Trail asks Ian what he possesses that he can entrust to his younger sister. Caught off guard, Ian faces Trail's intense gaze, hinting at a willingness to end him. However, the tense moment dissipates as a sweet voice interrupts. Ian witnesses Trail's fierce eyes soften into warmth as Serene approaches. Stunned, Ian ponders if this is the person he's destined to protect. Their eyes meet, and Serene recognizes Ian from his past captive state, now wondering what has changed. Trail explains Ian's training as a knight. Ian is even more surprised when Serene expresses relief at his freedom. Concerned for Ian, Serene welcomes him warmly and encourages his knightly aspirations, showcasing her kindness. She also encourages him to work hard to become an amazing knight like his brother. Oh, it's so sweet of her. Serene is a sunshine regardless of who she meets. When Serene bids goodbye, Trail becomes 10 times more ruthless towards Ian. Stop being so jealous of everything, Trail. At first, Serene feels scared because of the fact that he's a shadow mage, but the look people are giving him is much more frightening. She thinks Ian must have endured those eyes all alone until now. That must be the reason why she empathizes with Ian. Suddenly, her father lifts her up and asks what she is thinking about. Serene immediately responds that she's thinking of the book How to Deal with People Special Edition. Smart move, princess. Keep that book's purpose to yourself, or it might spark more jealousy. Out of nowhere, the great Duke Ain shows up with his children, young Master Jay and Lady Lisa. Like a true princess, Serene apologizes about the last time. She explains it was her first time meeting someone her age, so she didn't know what to do. Still, Serene expresses her gratitude to them for coming. Lisa, being an ardent fan of Serene, is unable to shake off the princess's overwhelming beauty. However, Serene wonders why Lady Lisa is wearing a mask. Little did she know. A few hours before coming to the palace, Lisa was supposed to stay in the mansion because she'd just lower her dignity if she tagged along, but she insisted and promised to behave. So her father set a condition. Lisa shouldn't be saying anything because the princess might be hurt by what's coming out of her mouth. Hence, the mask. Serene worries that it might be uncomfortable for Lisa to wear that, so she finds another way. She leads the siblings to her favorite place. There, Serene coaxes Lisa to remove her mask, using her authority just to hear Lisa's voice. Finally unmasked, Lisa pours out her affection for Serene in an overflowing emotion, like she's making an impassioned declaration. If this keeps up, they will surely become the best of friends. So guys, what do you think of this story so far? Please subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on this and all our other stories, so you can be the first to find out when they're out. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one!